Welcome back. We're in a slightly different setup today, thanks to Linden. He set us up with the professional mic and camera setup, bit of lighting, nice studio. So, Linden, first question, just to get us rolling. How long have you been out here in Bangkok?
So, man, I've been out in Bangkok now for probably almost a year now. It's been like 8 months, 9 months. I've been in Thailand for 2 years, but 9 months in Bangkok. I love it, man. It's my favorite place in the world, Thailand specifically. Bangkok, I think, is probably the greatest city in the world for the average person. I think it's an amazing place to live. And just all of Thailand, I think, is extremely beautiful. So, yeah. How about you?
So we're about between 3 and 4 weeks here. So first month in Thailand at the minute, settling in, just about finding the feet, getting used to the difference in culture here, the difference in the sort of the busyness. I'm from a small town. Yeah, just finding the feet. It's right what you say. It's a great place to sort of come up. It's well rounded. There's stuff for everyone, sort of all different levels, all different tastes, and yeah, it's busy. There's everyone. You sort of different demographics, all sorts of stuff. So going back to sort of where I'm from, I did a little bit of research just to sort of find out about you. So you're from a place called Durham in the United States. Do you want to just tell us a little bit of the difference between there and here?
For sure. So there's a lot of difference. For one, you mean Bangkok specifically or Thailand?
Yeah, in general.
So, yeah. So I'm from a small town, not too small, like probably 200,000 people. So definitely not small, but not big. Honestly, Durham is like one of my favorite places in the entire world. I love my hometown. I think it's a phenomenal place to grow up. There's obviously a lot of problems. Like Durham specifically has like a ton of gun violence. Like it's very, very dangerous. But it's one of I think it's there's so much culture in Durham. There's also just so many nice people because it's in the South in America, and that's something that I really like about Thailand too, is that people here are so nice, and it reminds me of home because when I go and say hi to someone on the street back home, they're like, "Oh hey, like how's it going?" Like same thing here. I can be like "Sawadee Cup," and they'll be like, "Yo, Sawadee Cup," like how you doing? I'm like, "Yo, I'm good, man." So I think that's one thing is like people here are so friendly. I'd say even more than back home. The bad things back home, I would say, for one, here there's really not much crime. There is still a little bit, but overall, like I can go outside, I can wear like nice watches, I can go walk around at night alone and like feel completely fine. Whereas like I would never do that in my hometown. It's just not happening because I would die. So yeah, I think safety here is really good. Obviously, cost of living is nice, although I definitely spend like more in Thailand than I did back home. But yeah, I think I get a lot more for my money here. Women are great here, and I think food is great. Overall, just phenomenal place to live.
Yeah, I think it's right what you say. Everyone makes the automatic assumption just because it's the East and things are slightly cheaper that you'll spend less money, but you also have the ability to spend more. It's everywhere, sort of everything's at the drop of a hat. You can order food to your house, and you can in the West, but here it's just so accessible. You can walk down the street and you can go crazy. I mean, there's sort of this fallacy that it's not developed, and you've still got here in Bangkok, you've got like the malls and stuff. They're just as extravagant, if not more, than they are back home. I mean, you got everything. You can spend your savings in a few minutes down there in the M Sphere or going up. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, for me as well, being from a sort of a small town in the UK, we don't sort of have like that violence. I mean, there is a sort of, you don't really want to be walking around at night time on your own, but it is going that way in the West, and that's sort of one of the reasons why I think maybe similar for you is why we've came out here and sort of changed our lifestyle, and the location is just because of the safety, the cost, and the weather.
Yes.
The weather is a massive point. Every day, I mean, it's the cool season at the minute, and it's like 30 degrees. It's sun's out all day, I haven't had rain here yet in the first sort of month I've been here, so it's pretty crazy. Back home it's 1 degree, so it's a very different lifestyle. And you made a jump before you came to Thailand, right? So you moved to Mexico. Do you want to give it a shot, the pronunciation of the name?
Yeah, sure. So where I moved is called Querétaro. And Querétaro is like, honestly, it's actually, have you ever been to Chiang Mai?
I have not, no.
Okay, so Chiang Mai is like nice local, like small town kind of vibe, but it's still a big city. Querétaro is very similar. Most people have not heard of Querétaro in Mexico. Very like local place to be. But it's between Guadalajara and Mexico City. And I moved there. That was the first place I'd ever traveled abroad alone. Because I was fed up with, going to college. It was like COVID time. So I wasn't like going to school, but I was still doing school online. I was paying, college prices. And I was like, bro, this is ridiculous. Like I might as well go like travel, do something instead of just sit at home, like on Zoom. So that was kind of like the first taste of like really living a digital nomad kind of lifestyle for me. And that trip, I basically spent a month in Mexico. So I went to Mexico. I went alone for a month alone. I speak decent Spanish, so I was like, okay, but I still don't speak great Spanish. And so I didn't know too much of the language, but I could know enough to get around. And basically went there, and that was the first time I just really tried to make YouTube, which is what I do. That's like my online job. That's the first time I ever tried to make YouTube work seriously. And in that month, I got really lucky. I signed a client to essentially pay me like probably about $1,200 a month, realistically. And that supported me through Mexico. I was like, bro, my apartment's like $400 a month. My food is cheap. I was like, that's enough to live. And I was like, holy crap, like I could actually make this kind of thing happen where I don't have to go back home. And that was the really eye-opening experience for me, because I didn't realize that making money online, because you see everyone doing it. You see it on TikTok, you see it on YouTube, and you think like, yeah, that's cool, but like it seems very hard. I don't know if I could actually do it myself. And that was the first time that like I realized that I could do it myself. I'm curious if you had a similar situation.
Yeah, so I think there's a big misconception that the barrier to entry for making online money is a lot higher than it is. I mean, out here in Thailand, you need a couple of $1,000 a month US to sort of sustain yourself and have a good lifestyle, and not have to worry. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that once you put yourself out there and you sort of gave yourself to the world, that something came back. So I'm a big believer that those things happen for a reason. You put yourself out there, and the right things come across your way. The path illuminates as you walk it, and that sort of stuff. Did I have a similar experience? I did traveling on my own before I moved out to Thailand. I was quite grateful to go on a few trips. I had the ability to go and do these things. So I worked since I was like 17. So I left school, worked, and it was through COVID times. I went to Malta on my own. Me and a few friends booked a trip to Malta to go to a festival. I was still a bit of a party kid at that time, but I'd been to Malta previously because my uncle lived there, and I knew the place. And then when the lads said, "Oh, we're not going to go anymore," I just kept my ticket and still went. So I had my hotel and went on my flight on my own, but I had that a bit of security there that my uncle lived there too. But I still went out, and I met a group of people there on the first day, and I'm still friends with them now. We still talk, and when I was in the UK, I used to go and visit them. And yeah, it was a good trip, sort of eye-opening. And I've always been comfortable in my own company. I've liked going travelling on my own, sort of doing my own thing and just making my own decisions, waking up when I wanted to and eating when, and not having to listen to anyone else, and having a bit of freedom. So yeah, I think going out and breaking out your comfort zone and going travelling on your own, if you haven't got someone good to go with, is just as beneficial. And then I've done bits of travelling here and there. I've done a few holidays, which some people tell me that they're not holidays, but I think they are. They're hiking trips. So like 100-kilometer hikes. So I've done 2 of those through a company called Highlander. Highly recommend if you've got the fitness and the equipment and the sort of determination. One of them was in Croatia. So the reason why I found the Highlander trip is because the mountains which they were on, you can see them from this party island which I went to the year before. So I was still like going out and spending time in the wrong places, and I could see these mountains, and I was still a bit of an outdoors kid. I liked sort of, visiting different places and doing that sort of stuff. So I saw these mountains and I realised that I was on an island. So I said, well, I've got to come back and find these. So I searched up the place name, and this Google search advert must have come up, and I clicked on it, Highlander. So I booked it, and I did a 100-kilometer hike with 3 or 4 friends from a network that I'm in. And yeah, that was awesome. So traveling alone, and then also traveling with sort of new people that you've never met before, and sort of making friends along the way, and surrounding yourself with the right people and being in the right places. So you can have fun for a lot less and get much more enrichment from it as well, rather than going out and spend like 3,000 or 4,000 on a holiday and getting shit faced. Sure. So yeah, that's my sort of bit of traveling history. So going back to you then, you spent a month out in Mexico, and what sort of did you go straight to Thailand, or did you come back to the US, or what was your steps from there?
Yeah, for sure. So at the time I was still in college. So I didn't go straight to Thailand. What I did is I went to Mexico for a month. I had that experience, and I realized that I could actually make this online thing happen. And from there, what I did is I went back home and I just grinded, right? I grinded for probably 2 months, and I was just like, every day, make YouTube videos, make content, try to make this thing work, right? Because I realized, wait, this is actually possible. It was the first glimpse I got, and I was like, I got to make this happen. So I grinded, started also just signing like a couple clients, getting to like probably $2,000, probably $2,000 a month, to be real. About $2,000 a month I was making. And from there I was like, okay, I'm still in school, I'm still doing college, but I'm still doing it online. I have a degree, and I went into college like twice, like actually physically on campus. So basically what I did is after that I was like, where can I go that's cheap, that's nice, that I can just dial in for a couple months and just kind of live at a low cost of living and just dial in. And I was like, Turkey was that place. So basically I went to Turkey for 3 months after that. I went to Turkey for 3 months, and I went all around. I went to Istanbul, I went to Fethiye, I went to Kaj, I went to Antalya. Like I went to all around Turkey, and basically I lived all over that country. And it's one of my favorite countries in the entire world, because it's essentially like Greece, if not even better than Greece, and it's a fourth of the price. Absolutely beautiful. Living on the Aegean, the Mediterranean, one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. The food is phenomenal. It's Mediterranean food, which in my opinion is the best kind of food. There's sun. It's just like overall a very free country. And also the whole thing with inflation, I don't know if you follow geopolitics, then you know Turkey has some insane inflation, meaning that you get a lot of money for your dollar there, specifically right now. So basically I was able to arbitrage my way, live there for probably $800 a month in total, like extremely cheap. My apartment was like, I think $300 a month, and then my food and everything else was like $500. So very cheap. Lived there for 3 months, dialed in, just grinded. And honestly, it was extremely lonely because I don't speak Turkish and no one in Turkey speaks English. So outside of the country's beauty, that was the first time in my life that I was like, I'm like all alone. And that was definitely one of the most pivotal 3 months of my life, because what I realized is like, that was when I realized that a lot more weight shifted on me making this work. And there was a lot more pressure to actually make it work when I was there, because I was all alone, and I don't really have anybody supporting me. So I was like, I got to make this thing work, because I also got a taste of freedom, and I knew I couldn't go back. And So basically I just worked every single day, made a bunch of YouTube videos, and that's when my first YouTube channel actually started to work, which is good. So I started making a little bit more money, but still probably around 2 to 3K. But I started actually getting views, right? And that was kind of what solidified my career as a YouTuber, because I was getting videos that had 100,000 views, 200,000 views, and I was starting to actually grow my personal brand. From there, I went back to the States for like a week or two, and I was like, nope, fuck that, I'm out. I'm going back to Thailand, or I'm going to Thailand, because I essentially met these people who told me that I could get a 1-year visa, and I was like, yo, I'm trying to dial in for like a year. I knew nothing about the country, didn't know anybody here, but I was like, let me come out, see how it is. So I moved up to Chiang Mai, and the rest is history. I've been here ever since. My favorite country in the world. So I'm curious, how did you get out here?
So a couple of factors. I was working at a place for a couple of years, which really shaped who I was and allowed me to sort of have creative thoughts and pursue them and dial in and get pushed around a little bit and sort of grow as a person and have a bit of pressure on me. So I spent the last couple of years doing that. Meanwhile, I was still interested in the whole self-improvement, sort of watching content online about being better and slowly sort of implementing those things into my life as I grew up a little bit and stopped partying and all that sort of stuff and really dialed in on the work and sort of made that my passion. But I got to the point where I felt like I really needed to do something for myself. So expend energy on my dreams rather than someone else's. But I don't think what I had done or what I did previously was, I wouldn't turn back time and change it. I'd still do what I did and put myself where I am today. So throughout that time, I was obviously quite interested in sort of geopolitics on a surface level, just keeping on track where the world was. And I was also invested in like watching content online and different YouTubers, and I was inspired by several people to come out here and sort of make a life here and make just a jump to change my scenery, to change the people that I spend the most time with, to get more sun, to eat right, to live on my own is another thing. I live with parents, which is can be a bit of a stigma in the UK. If you're living with your parents for too long, it's like get out your mum's basement a little bit. Yeah. So I also wanted to get away from home, not because I had a bad time at home, but just because I wanted to be a bit more independent. So I had all those factors, and next thing you know, I'm a month into Thailand, and it's I can't really remember what a day-to-day life is like. I don't really think about it. It's just like this is the new normal. So I've spent a lot of my time sort of honing in how that I'm going to, or how I will sort of put myself out there and make content on YouTube like you did in the beginning. Just dialing in and doing things every day and making progress on a goal and surrounding yourself with the right people and the network that's here as well. There's a great group of digital nomads, and just generally the vibe here is great. So a couple of factors, but mainly word of mouth sort of got me here, and then the rest is sort of down to sort of my doing and just putting the work in and taking the red pill, as they say. So just going back to you then, you spent a lot of time on YouTube honing your craft, and do you think that that's changed you as a person on a deeper level? Has spending a lot of time on camera changed the way that you think or the way that you interact with people on a day-to-day basis? And do you think that sort of can run with that? You got enough there?
All right, sounds good. I would like to say no. It definitely has in the past. I think there's a constant battle, especially when you're starting to create content, with just ego. And I think like that's something, like you'll see the book back there, like Ego is the Enemy. That's something I've really tried to fight, because I think that's something that every entrepreneur goes through. Is there's a weird thing that happens. This is something I heard from Nate O'Brien, but I think it's very true. There's a weird thing that happens when you start to make a lot of money, where like you start to almost feel superior to other people because you can see the faults that's holding them back, right? And you know that you've overcome those faults yourself. And it takes a lot of work to realize that, and also your life just gets absurd, right? Like I'll spend like literally like yesterday, I spent like 15 grand, you know, which is just like, for most people, that's like crazy. And that's like something that like you really have to work on, because you have to realize that like you are no better than other people. And that's just like a fact. Like, even if you take certain actions that make it seem like that, it's like it all depends on people's goals. You never know what someone else what their goals are. That person could be like, a person who's a normal person working a 9 to 5 could be way more successful than me, right? They could be way happier than I am. They could have lived a much better life than I have. And for me to look down on that person because I'm doing something that's out of the norm and I'm doing something different, you really have to try to fight that. And I think that's something I've done a lot of internal work on this year especially. And I think it's something very important for entrepreneurs to remember, is try not to change who you are. Because I think that I try to be a kind person to people always. Because that's just like who I am, I think. And with that, I almost noticed myself, like as numbers creeped up, like sometimes I would brush people off and sometimes I would kind of just be a little bit of a dick, and not that much, but I could definitely see it. And I was like, that's not the kind of person that I want to be. That's not the kind of life that I want to live. And also just living this life of extravagance. Like even this place, I told you I'm going to downsize my apartment next time. Even though I'm making like more money than ever, I think it's like, I don't need it, man. It's like, it's just an extravagance. And that's something that I learned from one of my mentors, Joel Kaplan, who's 8-figure entrepreneur. Guy's absolute savage, does over like $1 million a month. Absolute savage. He just sold all his watches, you know? He bought like 2 watches because he felt like he was kind of playing this like ego game, and he wanted to be recognized by other fellow entrepreneurs. He's like, because when you walk into a room with like a Rolex, people look at you different, right? But there's so like that Rolex, you know how much, like a $40,000 Rolex, that can build like 2 schools. To build a school in Thailand, that costs like $15,000. Yeah, to build like a nice school. And like, there's so much extravagance that is not necessary. I kind of went off on a tangent here, but like, I think that that's a very important thing. It doesn't mean you can't indulge in extravagances, but it's important to remember who you are in this game, because a lot of people get lost. And that's something, especially as you grow, you got to keep in mind, and you have to constantly humble yourself to remember that, like, listen, I'm just a normal guy who just is doing something different, and I know what I want, but I'm not going to let that turn me into someone who I'm not, you know? Don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's keeping your feet on the ground, even though your sort of head's in the clouds. I think it's important to have a connection to who you actually are and what you value as a person, but sort of ad-libbing on a point that you made. I think a lot of people, well, it is a fact, when you start to manage your time and you manage your time correctly and it starts to make you more money, you automatically assume that by managing it even further that you're just going to get more. So like, the more you optimize, the more efficient, the more money you make. So sometimes you'll put back, or you'll forgive time that you may get enrichment from, sort of like the point where you're saying you're being nice to people, you start brushing them off. It's like, well, if I spend this 45 minutes talking to this random person on the side of the street versus 45 minutes in deep work or filming a YouTube video and it gets me that one step closer to where I want to be, I think that can be quite deceiving as well. You think you're doing something good, but in fact you're sort of taking away from the spice of life. It's important to make progress. It's important to have these goals, and I don't think the material things are the issue. I think it's the sort of the drive and the way that people go to achieve the material things. I think materials and sort of, you know, the cars and the watches and the house and the location, they're all indicators of discipline and persistence to a goal. Obviously some people get handed down to them, but a majority of people have worked very hard for those things. And it's also another layer to that is nowadays it's quite easy to sort of rent a Lambo and go to Dubai and sort of make it seem like you make a lot of money, but there are also a lot of people that have worked their entire lives for things and don't even sort of get to a 1% of it as well. So I think it's important to surround yourself with excellence, manage your time and guard it, because it is your biggest asset. But at the same time, understand that it's not all about the checks in the boxes. It's sometimes you've got to like just realise that this moment, it will never come again. You're never going to get back to this point. So it's important to enjoy the moment, and that's the balance that people talk about. People talk about balance between like doing good and bad things. Like, I think you should only do good things for yourself, but balance your time between working very hard, training very hard, and then also enjoying life hard as well. I think you can that's the balance that is important to have. Would there be anywhere else in the world, or has there been anywhere else in the world that you considered visiting or living, or somewhere that's always caught your eye, or what's out there? What's out there for Linden in the future?
For sure. So, well, first off, I just want to touch on that. I think you're completely right, and I think with the physical things, I think it depends why you buy them. If you buy a physical thing, if you buy like a luxury item or something like that because of the status, I think when that's when it becomes a problem. But if you buy it because you love it, like for me, I really do enjoy watches, which is why I own watches. But I don't really enjoy cars that much, so I'm not going to buy a car. I think that's where the problem lies, is in if you're buying it for status versus actual because you enjoy it. But to answer your question, I think that for me, dude, I mean, I want to travel a good amount more. I personally I'm not a huge fan of Dubai. I think it's great for just personal growth. I could live there like 1 to 2 months out of the year, but in terms of like long-term like livability, where I would like to go, honestly, probably a split between Europe and Thailand. I think that's really like the best kind of split for me. Either that or Latin America, Europe and Thailand. Realistically, I want to probably live in Thailand 9 months out of the year, and Europe like 3 months out of the year, and potentially 6 months in Thailand, 6 months Latin America, or 3 months Latin America, 3 months Europe. Probably around Italy. I love Italy. I think it's a beautiful country. Would love to just move up to Italy, have a house there, build a house, go during smoky season, or go during the summer and just really enjoy it and have just a nice tranquil life over there. Same thing with Thailand. I want to just move up to Chiang Mai, move up to like the mountain city and just like live like in a smaller city than Bangkok, raise a family. I think that's like the long-term vision. Yeah. But honestly, I need to travel more too. I haven't been to enough places. So I'm curious, where was your long-term, like not 5 years, but let's say like 20 years, if you've thought about it.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think it's good to be well traveled, and there's so much to see out in the world. Just to sort of touch on your point first, and getting around, I'd like to see South America at some point. Yeah. Just as a holiday location and sort of see the culture there. But going into sort of the 20-year vision, obviously it's a long way down the line, and I'll probably look back at this even in a couple of months and think, what did this kid know? But I'd say Europe would be the settling place to be, in the Mediterranean. The weather, the climate's good. Maybe global warming's going to turn it all into a desert, but we'll see. But I think Europe, Southern Europe, is a good place to go. The culture, you're in a good location there. You've got a lot of things that you can do. There's difference in sort of temperatures. You can go up to the mountains and ski. You can be down at the beach in the same day. All that sort of stuff. The differences in the climates there. There's a quite strong religious culture. I'm not strictly religious. I don't follow a religion on a day-to-day basis, but I have realised that my values quite strongly align to like monotheistic religions. So, but I don't, pray every day. But I try to stay mindful, and I've just noticed that my values align with those things. So, living in a country which has good religious culture and good values, and quite a strong family culture, I think that's important as well when thinking about raising your own family. Personally, I see the UK, to talk on where I'm from, I think the family culture is sort of being dissolved. I might be wrong, but that's how I see it at the minute. The difference in, or the shift in culture, even sort of in the last 10 or 15 years since I was growing up, it's widely different, and I don't know whether that's through the rise of the internet or sort of the change in political structure or that sort of stuff. But I think you need to have a strong network of family when bringing up children, and sort of give people and your kids a great role model or a great figure to work towards, and that being yourself. I think you've got to be dialed in and be a great parent before you can bring up someone. So I wouldn't be looking to sort of settle down until I've sort of mastered and explored and become as strong in the mind, strong in the body, and well versed in many topics before bringing someone up. I don't know whether I'd send my kids to state school. I don't know. There can be a connotation of like homeschool kids being sort of recluses or different or a bit weird, but I want to raise strong boys with good morals, and I don't want the state teaching the kid. I don't know. I don't like the feeling of what I've been through. Nothing terrible, but I don't think I want my kids to sort of be taught by someone else other than me. I want to sort of instill my brainwashing, not theirs. Like positive, good mindset. You don't get tired after a walk up the stairs. You don't stop until the job's done. You look after your family. You look after the people around you. You sacrifice things for others, and what goes around comes around. And if you do good, you get good back. And do things because you enjoy it, and not because other people tell you to do it. And sort of fight your own battles and be a good person. That's sort of what I want to put into my children, and I need to be that person in order to do it. I mean, every day is a learning day, and I think the longer that I wait to have kids is the better teacher I can be. So going back to the start of it, probably Europe. I'd like to travel around the world a little bit more. Once my feet are sort of fully settled in Thailand, I'd like to do like the Chiang Mai route, maybe go up on a motorbike and sort of see that sort of side of the country. I'd like to go down to the islands and just see that for a week, but nothing extensive because it's not really my vibe. But I like the sun and the beach, so it might be a good trip. And I'd like to go to Japan at some point. And then sort of my medium-term vision is maybe like the Middle East, and sort of get out there and spend a short time out there and get around and network that part of the world too. I've been to America before and some skiing stuff, and quite like the vibe there, but I was quite too young to understand it, and we were in a tourist area. But I do like the way that the politics is going there at the minute, whether you're into that or not. But I think that change is good for the world. I don't know whether you touch on politics, if you can skip that question, but are you for or against the way that things are going at the minute?
Yeah, I'm indifferent, honestly. I just don't follow politics really at all, to be honest. I don't live in the country, so I'm like not worried, and I'm not going to live in the country, so I'm just like I don't pay attention to it. But I mean, I think people hate on America like a ton. It's like in reality, it's like not that bad. It's like the business capital of the world. There's like more money in America than any other country. It's like it's just a great place. Like, especially to start a business and to become successful, I think America is the easiest place to do it in the world. Like, if you move to Miami and you're actually trying, it's like very hard not to make money, just because of the pure connections, because of the pure, like, the people that you meet, the environment that you're surrounded in. America's so fast paced and it's so like grind. It's very hard not to be successful because money is constantly flowing from person to person. And when that happens, it's very easy to reach out and grab some of that, right? And actually take some for yourself. Because if you can take 0.001% of like $1 billion, it's like, that's a good amount of money, you know? So I think it's definitely one of the best places to actually come up. As far as where it's going, we'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of problems with the actual, I think the beliefs that are being instilled. I think very similarly to the UK, I think there's a lot of not necessarily the most positive beliefs being instilled in people who live there. And I can see this like even, I can see this just like even with my friends, my family, even like, just everyone, right? There's constant like propaganda, indoctrination, like that people are going into. And I think if you live there, it's very hard to ignore, honestly. I think you really only can see it once you move outside of the country and once you move into a society where that's not happening every single day. But like, yeah, I think it is a little bit fucked, but overall, I think America's a great place if you want to make money. But you just have to be careful. I think you have to be careful while you're there and stick to the rules that you stick to. You have to first set rules that you're going to follow that will almost guarantee your success, and then stick to them no matter what. Just don't get lost in the sauce in America. That's all I'd say.
I think that's good advice globally.
Yeah. Really.
Have some good targets for yourself. And you can definitely get lost in the sauce here in Thailand as well. That's a major point. I think a lot of guys come here to escape, but end up getting in sort of a trap of newfound pleasures. I think having good boundaries that you sort of don't cross, even down to like sort of the time that you wake up and the food you consume, are massive factors in the long-term success, and even just like the quality of life. Forgetting about money, you need to have like your sort of that sort of stuff dialed in. If you're following a strict routine like you do, you follow the same sort of working times, and that's important and it's conducive to growth. If you sort of always chopping and changing, I think you need to stay based in somewhere. I think a lot of people travel around a little bit too much and they might get distracted by the newness of a place. Like for the first few weeks here, I was so taken aback by the difference in culture that I got stuff done, but I didn't get deep work done. And it's only sort of since I've been settled in that I could actually sit down and the thoughts were sort of flowing like they used to be when I'd sit down and work at home. So yeah, you can get lost in the sauce, but I think going back to the earlier point is if I can be dialed in here, I can be dialed in anywhere. And then taking myself to somewhere which has less of the ability to differ from the plan as well, like a smaller place like you're on about, just living in the hills and enjoying the nature and that sort of stuff. And I would like to get back to nature at some point. I've moved here to the city for the positive connections and the lifestyle and the easeability for sort of even things like this, like just linking up. You're only 5 minutes away from your bro. But I was in the UK, it's like, well, to get people together in London, it takes a few weeks and not everyone's going to turn up and it's a costly, and you got to plan it. But here it's like, oh, are you free tomorrow? And that's awesome. We're even free today. It's like, we're going for food later. Do you want to come? And then you bump into someone. Next thing you know, you've got an interview booked with them in a few weeks, or, it's the situations that you put yourself in as well. So I could be here and I could just be going down Khao San Road and just losing my mind over just nothingness. But it's putting yourself in the right situations, going to the nicer places that cost a little bit more, and just talking to everyone, asking questions, and trying to learn the local language. And I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but this is what's flowing at the minute. You basically, you have to put yourself in the right situations as well. That's a big factor of sort of your growth as well, and that's what you've done, is you've taken yourself out of the norm, put yourself in a situation where you have no choice but to win. Yeah. I think that's a big factor as well of me moving here. Is if I was to stay at home and sort of work on things in the background whilst I was at my job, I wouldn't get the quality of work done, because I was spending a lot of time putting a lot of effort into my work as a main, and then that would be a secondary like plan B. And then also sort of taking yourself so far away from home that you've got to depend on yourself, and that grows you as a person as well. I've been quite independent for most of my life. I've always been a little bit old-headed. I've made bad decisions, but we all have, but I've always been a little bit more sort of independent, and this for me has been great because I can be my own person now. I've got my own place, and like these things that some people have had for a long time, and it's like sort of awesome to now experience that. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking for a bit now, and touching on where we've been, just trying to think. I've got a few more notes that I'll refer to just to give us a bit of a spark of information. You want to ask a question?
Yeah, I'd be curious because you just moved to Thailand, right? You moved here, you said 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So in those 3 weeks, have you, because you mentioned, you touched on Thai culture and you touched on the cultural, seeing cultural differences. I would love to hear what some of those are. Because I think a lot of Americans, or not just Americans, but foreigners in general, they have no idea what to expect when they come here. What are some of the biggest things that kind of shocked you, or, that you were like, whoa, I was not expecting that?
Mm-hmm. So for me, I think the biggest thing that took me back that I did not expect is the smells.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Great one.
Some things that I just didn't expect, like the smells. There's a lot of street food here. So you get the smell of cooking, but you also get the smell of leftovers. Yeah. So you can get a lot of that, which I didn't expect, and sort of took me back. You don't get that on the video. You don't get smell-o-vision on YouTube. So that's the thing that took me back. And just the busyness. I mean, I knew it was going to be busy, but I didn't fully understand the level of busy and the persistence of the busyness. All day and all night, there's stuff going on, no matter where you are. I mean, I just stick between the mall, my place, gyms, and the BTS. I don't really venture anywhere outside of that for the time being, and it's always busy. No matter where you go, it's just chocker. There's cars, there's bikes, there's tuk-tuks racing around, and yeah, the noise. There's always a car revving or something like that. So sound and smells, and what else? I mean, I haven't delved too much into the Thai cuisine. We're going to go and grab some food after and sort of explore a bit. But I've been quite dialed in on cooking for myself. I consume a lot of eggs at the minute.
Bro, I've been seeing that.
I'm doing a lot of eggs at the minute, mainly because they're just easy to cook. I do like them, and I'm just getting the nutrition. I find that, here's another thing, the difference is the food, that there's not a lot of meat in the sort of Thai culture, and as the Asian cuisine as a fact. It's a lot of vegetables and if it is meat, it's pork. So I quite like the sort of, I don't know how you'd call it, like the biohacking sort of side of things. I mean, I'm not a biohacker, but I just eat it because it's easy to do, and it satisfies the craving. So yeah, the food here is definitely different. I've not tried any street food yet.
Oh wow! So
that's a venture that I've not travelled in yet. I don't think I'd have any problems with the street food. My belly's kind of strong, and I think that it is hyped up a little bit. But getting used to sort of walking down the street and people are barbecuing at 7 a.m. That's a bit crazy. It's a bit mad. But yeah, you'll see some crazy stuff. But I think I need to explore a little bit more. I've been dialed into the city. I need to go out into the countryside, see sort of rural Thailand, and once things are rolling, give back a bit and sort of sort of, yeah, like you say, it's quite inspiring that sort of the price of a watch is sort of building a school or putting people into education. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I think one of the guys in the network did a Christmas present fundraiser and got like, I don't even know how many thousands of presents bought and wrapped for kids over here. So you can do a lot of good with not a lot of money as well, or what isn't a lot of money for us, maybe a lot for other people. So yeah, the difference in money, the food, the smells, and the sights as well. I mean, there is a lot of like, you can get distracted here. There's a lot of things that are on the street that if you haven't got good willpower and discipline, you can get drawn into. That's another thing. At home, it's slightly more nuanced. Like the distractions are like drinking in the pub and going to the shop and buying cigarettes and alcohol. Those are sort of the draws of home that will be quite similar to America and the UK. They're quite similar in that aspect, like the drinking culture. I don't know what the drinking culture is like here for the locals, but I mean, yeah, can you touch on that? Is there any experience you've had there?
For sure, yeah. I mean, well, the drinking culture here is people drink a lot. In Thailand, most Thai people love to party. It's like a big culture here. That's why there's so many bars and stuff. Like, and not just like, if you go to like Tonglo or like another area in Bangkok, you'll see like tons of bars and nightclubs. Not the foreigner ones, but the Thai ones, they're packed, man. Like, that's one thing, especially when you're dating. It's like tough to find a girl that's like not like a party girl, especially in Bangkok. In Chiang Mai, it's very easy, but in it's like everyone just does it, so it's like a very normalized thing. But Thai people drink a lot, yeah, I would say, especially like if you, yeah, guys and girls, like they drink a lot, yeah. But as far as like, dude, you need to try some street food. Yeah, you definitely need. I'm excited to go eat with you today because, bro, that's like, it's so fucking good. Like, dude, you're missing out on a huge part of Thailand if you're not eating the food. So I think like that's, dude, I'm excited. It'll be a good time today. I don't know if you'll like the food today, because honestly, the place that we're like, the food that we're gonna try is like, it's not like it's not like American or like foreigner like delicious, you know? Like it's like for Thai people, they've eaten it like since they were born. So it's like, bro, this shit is gas. Like, however, for foreigners, your first time trying it, you might not like it that much. I'm just being real. However, you might love it, so you never know. But it's definitely different, which I'm excited for you to try, because then you'll be like, whoa, this is like, because what we're gonna go try is Isan food, which is Eastern Thailand, and that's like the craziest that Thai food gets is Isan food. So it'll be fun, yeah. It's also spicy, super spicy, yeah. So we're gonna be dying, but it's I would definitely try some of the street food here. I eat street food every single day. Yeah, every day. Like, get some pak pao. Oh my God, bro. With a fried egg, some rice, pak pao. Oh my God, it's so good. Like, yeah, garlic chicken. I had that yesterday. I'm hungry, man. But yeah, I would 100% try the street food. We could even go, not today, but like another day, I'll go take you somewhere. So yeah, it's good.
Awesome, yeah. I'm not opposed to eating foreign food. Yeah. I do like sort of venturing out, and I do like trying new things, and I've always had taste for sort of different stuff, but yeah, I mean, I was just sort of, I was avoiding the street food just because of the warnings. People like, don't try street food because you'll get, a bad stomach. Try not to be rude, but I think it's all sort of down to like personal biomechanics, if you can handle it or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying some different stuff and getting out there. I'm not opposed to a bit of spice, but we'll see if it's probably going to be. We'll see. It's probably going to be super hot. But I'm pretty hungry already just thinking about it. Closing up then, just to get a bit of a final word from yourself then. What is one thing about your brand that you try and purport that people don't recognise, or is a bit underappreciated, or things that you put a lot of time into that you wish more people noticed?
That's a good question. Dude, I haven't even like thought about that. Let me give it some thought. You mean like for YouTube specifically, like the brand I portray online?
Anything, yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do, or the way that you act, or one thing that sort of you wish more people noticed. Underappreciated Linden.
I would say. I would say honestly, one of my biggest strengths, I think, is just like leadership in terms of team. Like my team, they are what makes like all of this stuff happen. Like we have a team of 7 people now, full time, and like, dude, those people, my team is like, dude, we're like family. Like we're so close, and like we're able to be really real with each other and really push each other. Like my team pushes me and I push my team. I think that is the biggest thing that's like, that people don't see behind the scenes, is like none of this is able to happen without my team. Like my business partner, he's an absolute killer. My editors, they're absolute savages. Like they are some of the best editors on YouTube, and I love them, you know? Like I think that they are what makes the brand happen. They are what actually pushes the brand and makes it what it is. I'm just a guy who organizes everything, right? And I may be good on camera. I may, you know, have like a good personality, but as far as like what actually makes the brand a reality and makes it as successful as it is my team. And I couldn't do it without them. So I'm forever grateful to them. And I hope that I do a very good job. I hope I do a very good job of leading them. So, and I'm always trying to improve and figure out how can I add more value to my team? How can I, like, for example, I paid $1,500 for a consulting call that we're going to hop on literally tonight with me and my team. And that's for me, but it's also for them, right? They're able to ask questions. They're able to hop on that and learn with me, right? So my goal is to get them, learn what each of their goals are and get them to that place. What about you?
Ooh. I hadn't quite expected you to ask me back, so we're going to have to think about it as well. But just riffing off what you've just said. So, yeah, reinvestment, paying, you know, out of pocket for something to benefit the team and grow as a team. Bit team building, bit of a thank you, but it also does everyone a bit of good because you can also sort of like, yeah, that's pretty cool, and I like that sort of leadership of it's a thank you, but it's also productive as well. It's not like we're going out to get wrecked. Well, we can spend 1,500 in Baccarat. You can spend 1,500 quid and sort of, you know, benefit from it and grow as a person as well. So I like those the productive thank yous. So, what's one thing about me that I wish more people recognised? I mean, I think you've got to gloat a little bit here when you say things like this, but I think just sort of I want to be remembered as someone generous and someone that sort of always gave back and gave a little bit more than they should have, and I'm getting better with that now as the net worth is increasing and sort of becoming a more abundant person. And yeah, I think it's good to be remembered as someone who brought something rather than took something. So that's one thing that as we grow will become more apparent. But yeah, giving back like you do to your team, to the people around you when they don't realise it, and sort of you have to remind yourself to sort of step back a little bit and put other people's feelings first, especially in this sort of space. Like going back to your previous point where you can get caught up in sort of the day-to-day progression and the goal setting, and just to step back and just sort of thank that guy in the street, or sort of give the grab driver a little bit of extra cash, or you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just being generous, and we'll see where it takes us. And if not, you've given someone a good bit of their day. 100%. So yeah, closing up, we're going to go and grab some food because I think we're both absolutely starving. In UK we'd probably say Hank Marvin. But yeah, looking forward to a bit of Thai food. exploring. I've enjoyed having a chat, and thanks for the setup and letting me use the studio. It's a lovely place. If you want to catch Linden, I'm going to say a few things, but if you want to just say your Instagram, YouTube, all that sort of stuff you want to promote, I'll put it all in the description, but go for it.
Sure. It's just Amplify Views on YouTube, at Linden Chasteen on Instagram. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thanks again. If you enjoyed, hit a like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm doing this because I enjoy it, speaking to great people, finding out some unique points of view, and enjoying it at the same time. So yeah, I'll catch you again soon.